All right, so it wants us to find f plus g of 4. F of x equals 1 over x squared minus 9, and g of x equals x minus 6. So remember, f plus g of 4 just means to go f of 4 plus g of 4. So I plug 4 in for f, I get 1 over 4 squared is 16 minus 9, plus plug 4 into g, that's 4 minus 6, which is negative 2. Okay, so we end up with 1/7 plus negative 2. I don't care if you use a calculator, you work it out by hand, but that'd be 1/7 plus, make that, get a common denominator, so make it over 7, so it'd be negative 14/7. You add those together, ought to be negative 13/7. That's what our answer should be there. Okay, let's go ahead and put that in. Forgot the negative there, so negative 13 over 7. That was a little tricky just because of the fraction, but the problem itself, right? Just f of 4 plus g of 4. Okay, next one, it wants us to find f of g of 2. So again, that means this, f of g of 2. So I'm going to put 2 into g first, and then whatever answer we get back out, we're going to plug that into f. Okay, so let's start by plugging 2 into g. So if I plug 2 into g, I get, 2 minus 6 is negative 4. So I have f of negative 4. Now I got to take what I got out and plug it into f. So if I plug that in f, I get 1 over negative 4 squared minus 9. So that's 16 minus 9. 1 over 16 minus 9. So that's what, 7? So 1/7. So let's put that in for our other solution. So those aren't bad. Those are just plugging numbers in there. The last one's the one that's a little bit trickier. Okay, so now it wants us to write the domain and range in interval notation. So of f of g of x. So it is important the order it goes in. So remember, f of g of x just means, right? So f of g of x means g of x goes on the inside. So because the x goes into g first, I've got to find the domain of g of x. So look up at g of x, x minus 6. Ask yourself if there's any restrictions, and there aren't, right? There's no fraction, there's no square root. You can plug anything you want in for x. But check that first. No restrictions on g of x. Now I need to check if there are restrictions on f of g of x on my final solution. So let's find out what that is. So that's going to be f of g of x is x minus 6. Plug x minus 6 into f, and you end up getting 1 over x minus 6 squared minus 9. Okay, so our next question is if there's any restrictions on this one. Well, the denominator, we've got a denominator now, it cannot equal 0. So let's find out when it's equal to 0. So x minus 6 squared minus 9, we know it cannot equal 0. So we'll add the 9 over. X minus 6 squared cannot equal 9. Take the square root of both sides. So x minus 6 cannot equal plus or minus 3. Don't forget the plus or minus. Add that 6 over. So x cannot equal 6 plus 3, which is 9. Negative, and 6 minus 3, which is 3. Those are two things x can't equal. So the way we write that with interval notation, right, is we're going to say it goes from, let me grab my keyboard here just to make it a little bit easier. All right, so it goes from negative infinity until I get to 3, so comma 3, union, that union sign, then it's going to go from 3 to 9, union, and then it's going to go from 9 to infinity. Okay. Let's just check the answer. So things to be careful with. You do always check the inside first. So what is the domain of the inside function, which is g of x? So always start by checking the domain of g of x. And then you check a domain of your final answer after you plug it in there. Okay, we check our answer. And it looks good.